They believe there's a world conspiracy that has signaled them out and that satanic powers will be turned against them, Ward said. It creates the idea of being crusaders or even martyrs for the cause. The Christian identity movement holds that white people from Northern Europe are God's chosen, while Jews are the offspring of Satan and blacks are subhuman, quote, mud people, end quote. This theory may be the backbone of the Freemen's efforts to set up their own government. Notice it said may be, right? Set up their own government and claim America for, quote, true citizens. It's like a cult, Ward said. These are people who have isolated themselves from the rest of society. There's no moderating influence. They're feeding on one another's fears and paranoia. That becomes an explosive situation for those who have to deal with this group. I've asked everybody I've interviewed who's attended that school, I've asked them about this article, and they said, not true, not true. That's how the media, the news is slanted. Now, I'd like to read, in conclusion with number 13, I'd like to read from an article that appeared in Operation Vampire Killer 2000. Some of you may have already seen this. And here's what it says. David Rockefeller, international billionaire, humanist, CFR, Council on Foreign Relations kingpin, founder of the Trilateral Commission, World Order Godfather, and in all probability the high school graduated voted most likely to be hanged for treason. I didn't say that. Voiced his praise of the control of the U.S. media for keeping their oath not to divulge the globist plans to the public. Speaking to his fellow conspirators at a meeting of yet one more infamous world order group, the Bilderbergers, Mr. Rockefeller said, by the way, I have a book that's available. You talk about control of the media, control of the press. It's called Who's Who of the Elite. And if you're interested in this book, I'll be glad to make it available to you. I'll just have to give you the information. My address will appear, by the way, on this video at the end. And if I can't come up with it, I'll make sure that the Prophecy Club has it available to them if you want to get it from them. But this book is the Who's Who of the Elite. This names the members of the Trilateral, current members and past members, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Committee of 300, the Bilderbergers, Skull and Bones, and then it breaks them down. It points out the number that are working in the TV media. It points out the number that are working in universities. There's a lot of them in the universities, folks. It points out the number that are working in the publishing business and the number that work in the print media. I don't have those figures with me, but it's amazing and astounding how many that there are. And that's your control of the media. Anyway, continuing. This is what Rockefeller, according to Operation Vampire Killer 2000, this is what Rockefeller told the Bilderbergers. We are grateful to the Washington Post, the New York Times, Time Magazine, and other great publications whose directors have attended our meetings and respected their promise of discretion for almost 40 years. He went on to explain, it would have been impossible for us to develop our plan for the world if we had been subject to the bright lights of publicity during those years. But the world is now more sophisticated and prepared to march towards a world government. The supernatural sovereignty of an intellectual elite and world bankers is surely preferable to the national autodetermination practiced in past centuries. And then it goes on, that's the end of the quote. It is not reported if the attendees kissed his ring or anything else after their leader bestowed his blessing on those in attendance. Actually, we could ask Governor Clinton or Dan Quayle, both of whom were there. Bush and Clinton are Bilderbergers, internationalists, and their goals are exactly the same for America. Let us repeat. Clinton's, Bush's, Perot's plans for America are virtually identical. The Republicans, the Democrats' goal for America are virtually identical. They both are taking our nation into global government. Globalist Mr. Dan Quayle was there in the June 1991 meeting, being sized up as a possible Bilderberger U.S. presidential contender in 1996. The major media's job is to convince Americans that the Republicans and the Democrats are on opposite sides and fighting each other. Interesting. Okay, number 14. He then explained the necessity of having their agentur always come into the open and appear on the scene when conditions had reached their lowest ebb and the masses had been subjected by means of want and terror. He pointed out that when it was time to restore order, they should do it in such a way that the victims would believe that they had been the prey of criminals and irresponsibles. He said, by executing the criminals and lunatics after they have carried out our preconceived reign of terror, we can make ourselves appear as the saviors of the oppressed and the champions of the workers. The speaker then added, we are interested in just the opposite, in the denudation, the killing out of the goyim. I have received information, and I want to be very cautious about this. I cannot document this. It's strictly intelligence, raw intelligence information, so I don't put it out as a fact. But if it's true, it's something to be concerned about. That weapons are being given to gangs in this country, gangs that are distributing drugs, men on the street, and that these gangs are the ones that have been designated to shoot and eliminate police officers when the time comes. And then the Army or the New World Order or the military, whoever's going to be taking over eventually, will come in and eliminate the gangs. I also have information that the biggest concern of the New World Order is not the militia. That's all a facade. I'm afraid they could eliminate the militia as it stands today without too much difficulty, although there will be some people that will be difficult to locate and seek out. But the biggest concern they have is the veterans who have come back from the various services, particularly the Navy SEALs and the Special Forces. And I have been told, and I think this is accurate information, I don't want to put it out as a fact per se, because I have not seen paper on it, and I usually like to say this is so because I've seen the documentation. But I've been told that these are the men that they're concerned about, the New World Order is concerned about. These are the men who have already had others assigned for assassination. In other words, these are the ones that will be the first to be assassinated when the New World Order tries to take over. Okay, next. He next explained how industrial depressions and financial panics could be brought about and used to serve their purpose, saying enforced unemployment and hunger imposed on the masses because of the power we have to create Sabbath shortages of food will create the right of capital to rule more surely than it was given to the real aristocracy and by the legal authority of kings. He claimed that by having their agentur control the mob, and the mob could then be used to wipe out all who dare to stand in their way. Number 15, financial panic, right? Food shortage. What about the savings and loan? You remember the savings and loan, when they deregulated savings and loan? Millions of people lost their money, their life's savings. Right up here in Lincoln, Nebraska, Commonwealth Savings and Loan was written up in on 60 Minutes over that. There's organizations that advocate right today the reduction of the world population. They're actively advocating that. Warren Buffett, the richest man in America, on and off with another gentleman, depending on how much stock they bought the day before, and has been identified by the kids in the Nebraska case as being present at some of the meetings that were held. Warren Buffett is very active in this organization to reduce the world population. It's been alleged that the AIDS epidemic was actually started by the government. And then we have more recently this, the HARP program. For those of you who do not have this book, it is available through the Prophecy Club. Angels don't play this harp. Advances in Tesla's technology. The HARP program. U.S. government has a new ground-based Star Wars weapon which is being tested in the remote bush country of Alaska. This new system manipulates the environment in a way which can disrupt human mental processes jam all global communication systems,